right, here we go, kiddies. Thanks for joining the big program. I'm Jay Crawford with Skip Bayless to my left, Jamel Hill to my right, and a special thanks to Chris Bosh. Recently married this offseason. It's been a busy time for you. You came to sit in the seat across your harshest critic. Thank you for doing that. What made you decide to come in here?
I like conversation, for one. I love sports, and everybody here at ESPN is so nice. And,
Except
everybody?
Are you sure?
Everybody?
Close to everybody.
Just let me say, I do respect Chris for having the guts to come and sit across from me.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Welcome you, and now let's see where we can go.
Yeah, let's as they say, let's get ready to rumble, because as you know, Chris, Skip has been your biggest critic, and he fair or foully has liked to refer to you as Bosh Spice. And I'm assuming that's where you're going to begin with our first question, but why don't you start by responding to Skip and the criticism that he has had of you throughout the, particularly the past year?
Well, I just want to put it out there. I don't have a problem with you at all. You know, we're both professionals. We both do our jobs, I'm sure. You know, you work hard. We've got the Southwestern connection.
We do have that.
KC and everything.
Yep.
My only problem is just the whole misuse of the name. If I stink it up on the court, that's fine. I don't have no problem with you. I love jokes. I love cracking on jokes. My thing is, my family, we take a lot of pride in our name. And my ancestors, my great-grandfather, my father, my grandfather, my aunts and uncles, you know, we're very prideful with the Bosh name. And I don't like it being made fun of. And I, you know, I don't think they appreciate it either. But, you know, that's all. Really, that's it. I mean, I'm trying to save you, man. If you run into my aunts, you know, that's...
you feel that way, but you're not.
Oh,
so you're probably better off with Chris sitting there and not one of your aunts.
Yeah. But, you know, the Bosh name, you know, because that's all we have. You know, and we're hardworking guys. You know, my father and his fathers, they've paved the way for me to do what I'm doing today. And, you know, that's like my main issue.
Okay. I respect the Bosh name, but I have no regrets with referring to you occasionally, especially early and at midseason, as Bosh Spice. I admit I was very tough on you, but I thought that your performance with the Miami Heat, the Heatles, warranted an occasional use of that nickname, because I thought it was fitting and accurate, because occasionally early on with this team, I thought you were soft and passive and unaggressive. And you always had the power all year long to defend the Bosh name. You could shut me up at any time by simply performing. And ultimately in the postseason, you didn't hear me calling you Bosh Spice anymore. And we're going to get to that in just a second. Yeah. But I want you to know that when you were in Toronto, I rarely spoke about you on this show. In fact, I might not have ever spoken about you on this show, because you were basically irrelevant to me. As fine a player as you were, perennial all-star for 7 years, toiling in obscurity in Toronto, you were a non-factor here. But you chose, Chris Bosh, to join LeBron James and Dwayne Wade in Miami for $110 million. And you chose to enter the harshest, toughest, roughest spotlight in all of sports, the Heatles spotlight. And you chose to get critiqued by the highest standards, I think, in sports. Is that fair, the Heat last year?
The expectations were
just
very high.
Through the roof.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, when you walked in the door, you walked into a situation in which your new team did not have a quality big man. So all of a sudden, power forward Chris Bosh really had to play even bigger than ever. You had to play to your 6 feet 11 inches. Is that a fair? Or they list you at 6'11". I'm not sure you're quite there. But you had to play as if you were 6 feet 11 inches tall. You had to play bigger and stronger and with more intensity than you ever had, especially after your team early on lost Udonis Haslem, who was your guts and glue player that you finally got back in the playoffs. So what happened right out of the box? You go to New Orleans, sixth game of the year. Chris Bosh has 1 rebound in 34 minutes, and hence Bosh Spice was born the next day on this show. That's unacceptable to me.
Yeah, and you know what? I think most of it is my fault. because, yeah, just like you said, I did have a chance to, kind of respond to it just through playing. Coming from Toronto to Miami, it was just a different situation.
It was.
So different things mess with me. But I would like to thank you, though, because you've given me a lot of motivation.
I hope so.
That's something that I wanted to touch on with you, and I'm glad you went there, because Skip is hard on not just you. I mean, that's
Right.
his shtick. That's what he does. If he feels that you aren't playing up to expectations, he will nail you for it. How much of him do you listen to and even respond to with your teammates and then in your play the next night?
Well, I mean, we don't try to respond to too much criticism usually. It's always about the game. We always know what's out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes we use it, sometimes we don't. But, I mean, it's a tough place sometimes. When you're stuck in not playing well or not playing up to your standards, you can be there for a little while, even though you don't want to, even though you're trying to get out of it. Yeah, you get in a rut, just like you said. But, I mean, like I said, I feel that I could have played a lot better. I'm my harshest critic.
Okay.
I just want to make sure everybody knows that I'm my own harshest critic. It's nothing anybody in this world can say that I haven't heard from in here.
Okay.
So,
All right,
Did you feel that was a fair reference to go there after your game in New Orleans? Because I'm sure if you weren't watching that day, you certainly heard from many people that when he called you.
Yeah, I don't like the reference, but I can't say anything about the performance.
Well, I will say this, though, just I guess as the neutral observer. The one problem I had with what you called him is the fact that it drove a different kind of conversation. Now, Skip, you drive this show, you're very popular, and people pick up what you say like LeBrick, and they run with it. Now, I wrote a column defending Chris because I thought that he got a lot more flack than he really deserved. A lot of people didn't see you play in Toronto. They didn't understand what your game was. You're not a power player. You're more of a finesse guy who is able to rebound, but that's not the strength of your game necessarily. So it was as if they had a different expectation than what they actually got. Yeah, you definitely struggled early, but I think because not just your play, but the type of person that you are, you're very versatile. You come off as just kind of a worldly guy. You appreciate different things. You like jokes, the commercials. And so you're a different kind of athlete than I think most people encounter. And I think they've used that to take shots at your masculinity. They picked up cues from you because whether, regardless of, I know how you meant it, but people look at that as you comparing him to a woman. And anytime you compare a man to a woman, it's taking it to a totally different place. And I feel like a lot of people out there, whenever you have a bad game, it's one thing if people jump on you. But the Bosh Spice and other references, I think it goes to sometimes a very disturbing and uncomfortable place. And that's the part where I feel like the responsibility is with you in terms of driving that conversation.
Hey, I can't stop what people do on Twitter. I can't stop what people read into. It's a play off a female's name, but again, I thought it was fitting to your softness strictly on court. That soft, unaggressive performance on court. And just to finish the season now, it came back again at mid-year. You had your 1 for 18 at Chicago. Then your team goes on a down spiral. You lose 6 of 7, culminating in your worst performance of the season, which was at home against Portland on a Tuesday night. You go 7 points, 4 rebounds. The team hit bottom as you hit bottom. But I found this very interesting. The team also took off as you got your feet underneath you and started to play with a lot more confidence and comfort level, being one of the Heatles. And now let's get to the good part. Playoffs, Game 2 at Chicago. This was the Bosh I'd wanted to see all year. It was my favorite Bosh game of the year because I saw Taj Gibson get right up in your face. Remember this?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Game 3. Yeah, Game 3. Yeah, right up in your face. You got the ball on the wing, trying to keep the ball from him. And he is talking straight trash right in your face. I don't know what he was saying, but he's saying, you ain't that, right to your face. And guess what? You responded like crazy. That was the first game all year where I saw you play what I call play mad, play angry, play with fury. And you took it out on the Bulls. And that closeout game at Chicago was a tour de force, 20-10. So I saw that. I thought in the playoffs, big picture, you played the biggest of the big three. It was awesome to watch because your comfort zone came. Now, why was that? What changed?
Well, I think it's just being in the situation. You know, most of the times when you're in new territory, you know, I knew kind of the shtick that was kind of sticking with me the whole season. And I watch a lot of tape now. I'm kind of disappointed in my play last year, but that's what life is about. But, you know, I just felt that I had arrived. I had finally got out the first round, or I had a chance to, and we had a chance to compete for a championship. So I was extremely excited, and I didn't want the opportunity to go to waste.
Did Taj push your buttons when he was yelling in your face?
Yeah, I mean, it happens. You know, things like
you
that.
said that you respect the Bosh name. Does that mean that you're not going to use it? There are other ways that you can criticize Chris without making a play on his last name.
That's up to him. He can render it obsolete.
Well, yeah.
So he's saying no. He's like,
So he gave you a maybe. I think that's the best you could get.
I challenge Chris Bosh to shut me up next year.
Well, there's 82 games in a regular season, Skip.
Did I use Bosh Spice in the playoffs?
No.
No, because you rendered it obsolete.
I know, but
and
now
you can
that
do it again next
you said
year.
you respect that he came in here to sit across from you, and this is a very sensitive. You touched on it. It's a very sensitive issue. The family name. You know that your family name is played on a lot, and I'm sure you don't like it.
Nobody gets ripped on Twitter more than I do.
Well, that's
with my
probably
name,
fair.
with all kinds of references that we can't talk
Does it
about on the
bother
show.
you?
Doesn't bother me a bit. Goes in one eye and out the other.
You
I
actually
lose
read it?
zero sleep over it.
You read it?
Absolutely. I skim it.
Skim it.
But
There's too much of it to read all.
Yeah, he couldn't possibly keep
but
up.
you know what? Your performance is all that needs to speak for you.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think
In
it
the
should
end.
be like that all the time. I
Yeah.
mean, we can sit here and go back and forth. That's what kind of makes me kind of salty that we're in this position as players, because I think going out the way that we did, that's done nothing but made me hungry to play next year. And
Remember, you
All right.
could have stayed in Toronto.